Stick with me as we take a test to figure out if we are officially old or not. Thanks for joining me for another Tearing It Up Tuesday, where I just talk about whatever I feel like and whatever's on my mind. And what got this whole thread started was I think I'm officially old because I actually yelled at some kids for being on my lawn the other day, and wow, after I was done, I just had this weird feeling and I had to contemplate, am I old now? I actually yelled at some kids for being on my lawn. So I decided to put together some tests, and let's see how many of these you agree with, and maybe you're old with me. Let's find out. If you actually own a tablet, but you use it to write notes on the back instead of actually using the tablet, yeah, you're probably old. Oh, and that note, if you actually still know how to write with a pen and your handwriting's pretty good, you might be old. If you find yourself yelling at kids in your lawn or chasing off skateboarders, keeping kids out away from your porch, you're probably pretty old. If you still get excited to get a mixed cassette tape, like I still think cassette tapes are still pretty cool. Even though I don't think I've had a tape cassette player in quite a number of years, I still want those mixtapes. They're cool. I won't throw them away. You still know a few phone numbers by heart. There was a time where I think I knew close to 40 to 50 phone numbers off the top of my head. And now I barely know my own. So maybe I'm still young on that one, but there's some of you out there that still know all your original friends and family's phone numbers from, 30, 40 years ago. I'd be really impressed if you still know phone numbers today, though. If you lost your cell phone, if you could actually call someone. Yeah, heaven forbid, don't go to jail, because you get one phone call, I don't know anyone's phone number. Your favorite movies wouldn't exist because of technology. Let me get a little deeper into this one. I was watching Home Alone with like a little kid. And the whole premise of the movie is, he's trapped home alone and he can't get a hold of anyone. And the little kid I'm watching with is like, why doesn't Macaulay Culkin just use his cell phone? And you're like, well, there wasn't a cell phone back then. And, you get that confused look, kind of like a dog cocks their head. What do you mean there was no cell phone? Well, why didn't they just send an email to their parents? Well, there really wasn't email either. So, like, a lot of your movies that you really enjoy now could be just completely ruined by someone owning a cell phone. The whole plot line's just disrupted. Yeah, you're probably old. You still really want a CB, and you want to learn how to speak CB language, just so you can say things like over a niner. Even though cell phones have probably made CBs completely obsolete, man, they were so cool when I was a kid. We would save up all this money, and we had CBs that we would call each other on driving to school. And, the thing only had like a mile radius. So you only got to talk to each other for about 30 seconds to 1 minute as you crossed. But, man, it was cool. We could call each other on CBs. And if you still want one today and you still think they're cool, you're probably pretty old. You might be old if, one, you know how to use a map and you own a map, but two, if it physically hurts you if somebody folds this the wrong way. Like, your friends, we'd always take these maps out and you'd open them up, and oh my gosh, if you didn't fold them the right way when they came back. My grandfather, you want to watch someone in pain, fold a map incorrectly in front of him and just watch him like freak out. It's like eating a Kit Kat the wrong way, where you just take a bite instead of eating each bar. That's what people feel like when you fold a map in front of them the wrong way. It hurts them. I can't even do it for this demonstration because it hurts me so bad to fold it the wrong way. You might be old if you get really, really excited over retro video games in like restaurants and public areas. I remember being in a restaurant and I just was like, oh my gosh, they have Defender, and I'll put in all this money and Pac-Man, and you're just throwing quarter after quarter, because those games are hard. They're no joke back in the day. And, you know, like a kid today would just be like, why are you doing that? I could pay 99 cents and have this on my phone for free forever. And, you know, you're shoveling in all these quarters to play Pac-Man. But I still get really excited about video games when I see them. I think I'm old. You might, you might be old if you refer to every MP3 player out there as a Walkman. I am so guilty of this. I'll be like, you know, hey, get my Walkman from the front of the car. You know? And it's, you know, I'm talking about my iPod, or I still refer to everything as a Walkman, and I'm not going to stop. All right, you might be old if you still have a collection of VHS tapes that you're just holding on to, even though you haven't owned a VCR in like 10 years. You just refuse to throw those out. It's like, man, I recorded Battle of the Network Stars. Nobody's taking this and the A-Team from me. You know, I can't tell you how long I've held on to some VHS tapes. You might be old if you still get nervous before you make a long-distance call. I still have not adapted to the fact that you don't have to pay for long distance. No other charge. So, like if I'm physically dialing in a phone number or something, I'm always like, is this long distance? Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. I still kind of get really nervous about long distance calls, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. You talk about a terrorizing thing. Oh, man. Do you guys remember long distance, how expensive it was just to call? I remember them being like, okay, you know, you can talk to your relative, but you've got 30 seconds, go, you know, and you had to file everything in 30 seconds and then pass the phone. Oh, man. It used to be so expensive, too. It's crazy. You're officially old if you always reach for a calculator instead of using, like, your computer or your cell phone. I still do this all the time. I don't know why. I just don't like using the computer. It's hard to get into the program, and it just doesn't feel so. I'll actually get up out of my desk and go get a calculator to make a calculation when obviously, you know, it's right there in front of you on 3 other different devices. I'm archaic. Big bonus points if you actually have a pocket calculator and use the term pocket calculator when you talk about it. You might be old if all the music stinks except for the music you grew up with. Everything, like I don't think I've listened to music since 1990. Everything I listen to, it might as well be that there was some sort of rip in space-time, because nothing past 1990 I ever listened to. It's terrible. And you get special bonus points for being old if you still use a checkbook to check out in a line and you feel no guilt about it. Like you don't care that you're holding up everyone else to write a check, because I don't know if you've seen someone write a check, but it's like a huge process now. They have to take this check, put your name on it, your address, circle a bunch of things like your phone number on it, run it through a machine, pop the thing back out, put it like in a special drawer, and then, you know, give you a receipt. So if you still rock a checkbook, man, you're old and you're still kicking it. Congrats on that. You're really old if the first idea that comes to mind when you're selling something is to go to the newspaper and put a classified ad in. I don't think I put a classified in the paper since almost 2000. I mean, I was using Craigslist way back in the day, but there's still, or, you know, you're really old if you still get a newspaper. I don't know anyone that gets a newspaper, but if you are, man, you're rocking it old school. So if you use the classifieds, bonus points on that. I'm sure I probably left some other really important tests to confirm that you're now an old person, an old geezer. So if you want to leave any of those ideas you have below, I'd appreciate it in the comments. Let's talk about it and have some fun. Thanks. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel. Also, give this a thumbs up, a like, a share, or if you have something to add, remember to comment below. Thanks. Also, don't forget to stop by tarrinlupo.com. I have up videos that you can't see anywhere else. Currently, I have one on carnivorous plants and also how to make your own mead. All you have to do is go over and sign